Alrighty, good morning. Let's get screens under control over here. Okay, good morning. For anybody that might be new or catching this on the video in the future or whatever, if you don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. Generally speaking, we work on CircuitPython stuff on my stream, although I do venture from time to time, and I do think at some point, maybe in the next day or two, I'll be doing some Raspberry Pi stuff, but that is separate. Usually what we work on is CircuitPython, which is going to be what I'm doing during this stream. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more at the website, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. They come in all different shapes and sizes, and CircuitPython makes it so that you can plug these devices into your computer. They show up like a thumb drive with a Python code file on there. You can edit the Python code file, and then the microcontroller, the computer that is in the main chip on these devices, will execute the Python code that you put inside that file. That's kind of like the super duper quick high level version of what's going on. In particular, today I am using the Metro ESP32S3, which is this device right here. It's a nice one because it has access to Wi-Fi. Its main chip is an ESP32S3, I guess in 16R8. I don't know if that's part of the main chip or what. That's probably the storage, maybe. RAM 8 and I don't know. Anyway, it has Wi-Fi access, so it can get on the network. It can even do things that you might not expect a microcontroller to do, like host a web server, which indeed is what we're doing with it today. This one does also have an SD card slot, which is going to potentially come into play here because the next thing on the block for testing is the file upload. Which it would be real convenient to use the SD card slot for, to be able to upload files to the SD card. So we'll see if we can get that going. First thing we can do, I don't have the camera set up today, the overhead camera, because honestly there's not much to see. What you would see is this board now being plugged in, and then that's really all the more there is going to be to see visually the whole time with the device. We're not doing any real blinking lights or extra peripherals or any kind of things. With the device, the device, it has lots of I/O pins, so we could hook up all sorts of neat things to it. In my case, I am just interested in testing the web server right now, so we won't really have anything else, which means there's not much to see, really. One thing we do need to do is get the place where the device is at open, so that's device workspace for me. It's not in there. I think we're gonna maybe just give it a second, and if it still doesn't show up, then we will do the old reload action like that. It's doing this thing. Maybe that's blocking it or something. Actually, it did not show up as CircuitPy. Oh, It does seem messed up, kind of. Off. We unplug this, plug it back in. Maybe let's get it in a different USB port. Different. So I'm getting a purple on the LED and then green. So yeah, after all of that, I say there's nothing to see, and then now there kind of is, but that's all right. I'll give you the lowdown here. So I got purple for just a second on the NeoPixel, and then I got green on what I assume is just the on indicator. But then the purple turns back off, and we're kind of getting a repeating cycle. It's doing that every few seconds. It did connect as ACM0. Curious if it's actually saying anything during this process, or... It is disconnecting and reconnecting, so it's boot looping. And not making it all the way to CircuitPython. I mean, the only thing I changed from when we used this yesterday was the SD card, so I do think I recalled Scott saying there might be an issue with the SD card, but I wasn't sure that I understood it all the way, and I am starting to think that I do now. So I just took out the SD card, and now it boots all the way. So I believe I recall Scott mentioning something to the effect of the SD card is actually using one of the pins that something else is trying to use, or vice versa. I don't recall the particulars, and frankly, the particulars are probably over my head anyway. But I think I remember him saying something like one of those pins was, you know, effectively needing to be swapped. There's going to be a new rev of hardware potentially, which I think is actually really kind of cool to have one that will kind of be like sort of collector's item lost to the you know, cracks of history or whatever. If the SD card doesn't work, you know, we can't use it for this, but I actually kind of like the idea of having a kind of like misprint or something, right? It's kind of cool. So I do have a backup plan though. I have a Feather S3, which we'll use alongside of a SD card Featherwing, which is a better name than that. I think it's, is this Data Logger Featherwing, I think? Maybe I should have brought the camera. Yeah, and I will say, don't quote me on the SD card. Like, I don't know for a fact that is why it's not working. That is my guess based on kind of what I remember about Scott saying. And then seeing what I'm getting now. It could be maybe it's just a weird SD card. Maybe the SD card itself is problematic, or maybe some other thing is going on. But for now, I will try switching us over to a Feather ESP32S3. So same main chip. This one is a TFT Feather, and then I have it on a Feather Wing. Actually a Featherwing Quad, but it's got a Data Featherwing. How's it going? Good morning, Michael and C. Grover. How's it going? Data Logger, I think is... Oh no, that's a Feather though. We want the Featherwing. Data Logger Featherwing. Maybe it's called Ada Logger, I guess. We have one of these things hooked up to a Feather TFT. Probably the Learn Guide will have the basic code to get it connected, so let's go there. Yeah, I I get the full file. List files. Interesting, this calls it as main.py. Logging temperature. We want, let's just do list files first. Copy this. Bundle, we can just take the code. I don't think we need the full bundle. Okay, so I will need to do some stuff. I'll need to get the latest version of the library from the PR onto this device. We will need to get our CodePy set up. What do we have right now? Was testing image loads of different kinds of formats. Image load, I think they were RGB formats. Okay. Side here, oops, now we don't have that copied anymore. Okay. My guess is these are not the pins. Actually, they might be. D0? They might be. This one does not have auto reload for the SD card. So isn't that, wait a minute, let's see if there's a different. I thought there was, isn't SD card IO supposed to be better, or am I have them backwards? SD, okay. There's, okay, right, there's. Okay, I don't think we'll be able to do that one. Yeah, this is what we want. This is what we want, SD card IO. Okay, let me get the full one. Mount SD. D10 is probably not our pin. I mean, if the other guide is right, then D0 would be our pin. We'll see if that works. Board.spy, that's good because our spy bus is created for the display already. SD, so then print os.lister. Static, let's do. No object D0. Okay, so that's not right. Let's see. That's probably for a different feather or something. Let's look back at the feather wing wiring diagram. Pinouts. This one. Whoops. Pinouts. Nope. Let's go on Tithe. What's the previous board combo that didn't like the shared SD pin? So Metro 32S3, ESP32S3 Metro is the device that I was using yesterday and the device that I tried to start today, but it doesn't boot up when the SD card is plugged in, when my SD card is plugged in. And I'm kind of relating it back to what I think Scott was talking about, although I'm not obviously positive if that's the real situation or not. What does this... Interesting. There are so many different... I think ours is like this, maybe? GPIO 10? Maybe 10 was correct. Other TFT S3. I don't know the reverse one. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. The 6th pin is number 10. 4, 5, 6th. Okay. Octal SPI memory thing, maybe. Octal SPI memory thing. I think board's being respun as quad SPI for the PS RAM and issued not too many. Yeah. Yeah, that could be. I do not know all the details. Perfect. Okay. One way or another, what I do know about it is I am actually kind of excited to have a sort of misprint, right? To have one that is gonna get a new rev. I think it's kind of cool to have one that's like super low production run or whatever. Collector's Metro, so to speak. As far as I know, it's the only thing I have like that for Metafruit so far. So that, yeah, that's good. We got our list. Everything is fine here. So let's go get the new version of the library, which I'm just gonna do check out again because I think this might update it if there's updates. Yeah. Copy that to the device. I will delete the old one. CircuitPython chime. Been fascinated with synth.io lately, modeling realistic wind chime sounds. Nice. Using it. Copy. Oh, right. This one doesn't have. Here, I have the real Discord, actually. Good morning, Paul Cutler. Let me copy this. Copy link from Discord. Anybody has an in at Discord, gotta ask them why the right-click menu is different in the browser at discord.com. When you right-click a link, it doesn't have copy link. But when you're in the desktop app, it does. Dependencies, nice. Is there a... nice. Even got read the docs action going on there. What is this? Oh. Oh. Okay, let me scroll this back. Watched the demo yesterday. There it is. Okay, let me get the T version on the ST feather. All right, let me copy from, whoops. Get that up. What's this? Oh yeah, I like it. I don't think the, I don't know if that will just come through. No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, I would encourage folks to listen to it. I don't want to, oh, I just have a random right click thing there. There we go, sorry about that. I'm not quite set up to get the audio to come through, and I'm a little bit superstitious about touching OBS too much while it's running. That's real nice though. I think they're like, honestly, you've done a real good job kind of mimicking the bell. I don't think I would know if I wasn't looking at it. I'd probably think that's just a like metal bar. I've had this thing going on. I noticed this earlier today where my YouTube sometimes is just not loading. Like the video loads, but nothing else does. And then like if I just go back to here, it's the same. None of these load, but I also figured out how to fix it. Is just click on a thing inside of there, and then the next time I go back, it'll be fixed. Let me also fix the chat. I think we left it scrolled, right? A lot of maths related to that intimidates me a bit. Hopefully not as bad as I fear. We focused on it for a while, including rebuilding a few garden chimes for the empirical modeling. Nice. Yeah, that's really nice. I like it. It's a good, honestly, it makes a really good kind of like demonstration of what is capable with synth.io. Okay, let me see where we ended up here. Okay, so we got our list going. I think I copied the newest one, or did I only delete the old one? Looks like I also have not server. That's nice. I think I maybe only deleted the old one, actually. Let's copy the new one. One second. I'm gonna blow my nose real quick. Okay, that's much better. I should probably, let's just go ahead and update the CircuitPython. I don't know, I'm kind of in the habit of always just downloading the latest version whenever I do pretty much anything. Oops, that's a bin. I want UF2. Favicon. That's not normally there, is it? Or is auto run? It's not usually there either. Maybe those got added by LJ Linux. I don't know if that's the right name for that. LGinix. I installed this on this device once. Apparently I'm not good at the name though. LJ, maybe is it just LJ Linux? Okay, I'm missing a U for one thing. Yeah, there we go. Billy D8T. LGinix, I was right, but I just was missing the U. Maybe this puts auto-inf. I did install this thing, and it did definitely customize the device a lot. It's really fun to play with, though. I think probably one of these days I'll do a stream just playing with this thing, because there's a lot of different stuff to it. It's kind of a huge project, honestly, and it's really fascinating. Super neat. If you're used to using Linux in the terminal, this will make your CircuitPython device behave a lot like Linux terminal. It even has a bunch of the built-in programs and stuff, kind of like mimicked out in CircuitPython. It's really fascinating. My best guess is maybe that put those things back. Autorun.inf is kind of worrying a bit, right? I don't know what computers. Yeah, see, like I have LJ Linux root. I don't know if my computer will run something from that, or if that's a Windows thing. Not sure how it works. Theoretically, though, we don't really want thumb drives to just execute stuff when they get plugged in. Let's get the. Was there a files? Or is it just form data? What's the best example to use? Looks like actually there may not be an example, so we might have to fly this one ourselves. Unless, I guess probably the easiest thing would be to start from form data. Because form data is already taking a form, and we can add a file object to that form, file input rather. Form data.files that uses the new files and file classes for representing files uploaded using multi-part form. Okay, so let's grab form data. I'm gonna put it into this, and then we're gonna kind of intermix these. So this stuff up here, we get our SPI bus, we initialize our SD card. We don't really need to ls that. We can get rid of this for now. Server form serve forever. Yeah, that's I don't have any files on the SD card yet. I probably should have. Well, actually, that's not true. I think we do have files on the SD card. Oh, you know what? I listed static and not the SD card, which does not really make a whole lot of sense, does it? Let's go back and list the SD card. And then, yeah, this will also start the server. That's fine, too. Fortunately, a bunch of work done by others for years. Physics of a tabular chime is fascinating. Modeling the wind effects was fun. Fun thought process. Nice. Okay, so we have 226, which is weird because that's usually the camera's URL, I think. I think it's /form, right? And I will always want multi-part form data. And we also want to add an input file. I don't think it gets a value. Be told I don't really know how it works off the top of my head, so we'll see. Eventually we'll edit it in here to get our file and do something with it. Did this list the right files on the SD card? Yes, we have something.txt and blinka.png only. Okay. Well, in this thing, but I think that's automatic. So what we want is a, I think I want to make a directory on the SD card. And then we will put files into that directory, if this works how I'm imagining. So what I'm going to do is actually go to the REPL. But don't I need to unmount? I think there's code to unmount that I am not having here, which we probably want to be running at some point. Otherwise, we're going to get locked up or something. Is there an os.makedir? Yeah. Let's call it uploaded files. Okay. Okay, now we have this file here. And we will back into code, and then we should give it like an ID probably, or a name. I don't remember which one is going to come through to the back end, to be honest. So we're going to put both, and we're going to put the name of the thing in it. That way we'll be able to tell. Submitted value, we're not going to be able to do this part directly, but that's fine. We'll worry about that in a minute. Yeah. Okay, so if it was a post, posted value request.formData.get, and that's getting something, we are gonna get posted file equals request.files, was it? Files, and then I think it doesn't know about it because the one we have installed through pip is not this one. We go pip uninstall name of this. It's not installed. Interesting. Pip install dot. It's a bit confused on the version, but that's fine, I think. Huh, surprised that didn't fill in. It's even went inside of lib. Do I still have the old one? Probably pasted the new one. I don't know, it could just be PyCharm being funky too. Well, it was on form data, right? Was it? Oh. Yeah, it's on form data. What is that? Files is a files. What is a files? Is that a field storage list of files? Storage is a string. Just a file get list. And get, which is field name. Field name. Okay, so name is probably what comes through. Files, posted file, let's say posted files equals request.formdata.files.get. I'm actually just gonna do get list to start with. File name. It's not actually the name of the file, but it's the name attribute on the HTML form element. So I'm just gonna print it and see what happens. I don't know if that's gonna be useful or not, but we'll see. We'll need to restart. We'll do the requirements.txt file first because it's very small. Oops. Oh, it doesn't keep me in the same place? Okay, file name, requirements.txt, content type plain, size 125. bytes, I think is what it said before when I was choosing the file. So we should be able to then access it by 0, and that would give us a file object, which is basically what got printed. What we need to know though is how do we save one? How do we like get it from a file object to file on the disk .content? Is it always going to be bytes, or could it be ASCII content type? How do we know the content type? Oh, it says text plain. Then, oh, okay, content will either be string or bytes. Okay. Oh, I think, but we will need to, we need to know, because when we open the file to write, we would need to write, you know, either bytes or not. We need to check the content type, and if it's text, it gets weird though, because it's like, there's so many different ones. I assume that would be like text CSS if we did a CSS file. Maybe not, I don't know. Let's not worry too much about all of that just yet. Let's just try to write the file before we get ahead of ourselves. So .content would be the content of the file. I mean, we could print it out, I guess, if we wanted, but really what I want to do is open it. So f equals open /sd/ the directory, which was uploaded files, and then the file name. I'm gonna make posted file the first one. Posted file name. We're not gonna have any scheme for like, what if that file already exists? Right now the scheme for that is too bad, so sad. The new one overwrites it, so don't anything important in it. Uploaded files, file name, open that as writable, and then we write the posted file content, and then we close it. Okay, and then let's also do static, what is it called? Root path. Root path. Let's also do this as /sd/uploaded files, which means after we upload the file, we could then go to / and our file name. We should see our file if it exists there. So this will give us a way to check afterwards. Another thing I'll do though is I'll also change my list to list there, just in case this part doesn't work, and then we'll have a secondary way, because if we just restart it again, we'll see the files, though we can't see the content, but it's all right. Oh, right now it wants to refresh by resubmitting the form, which is not really what I want. Okay, it looks like it worked. That's probably the content, so printing it worked at least. Yeah, do we need to like worry about that at all? Can you lock that? Well, I mean, we exposed it by making the place where we upload also be our root path. That's kind of on us. Although I can't help but wonder, the mischievous side of my brain wonders if they upload, can this leak files? Like if I make an HTML, if I did something like, can you use absolute paths? I don't know if that works. But if this was like slash settings.toml, will this leak files outside the root folder? I should make one that's multi-part form by default. Oh, I can't drag and drop? Why, what? That's, okay. This was, but... So we got a broken image. But does the, is there content in the image? Doesn't look like it, I guess. Copy image. There is no download image, which is interesting. Image data. I don't know, it paused weirdly, but it doesn't seem to have worked. Okay. What about, what if I do an actual image? Can it leak something like that? Or is that absolute path just a no-go? Remove the slash. Yes, if we wanted it, yeah. Remove the slash would be the kind of correct way to do it, I think. But I am I'm testing, basically trying to abuse the slash. Like, if somebody does put the slash, will it accidentally show them files we don't want it to? I don't actually have any, images. But you are, oh, I do. Okay, here we go. You are right, though. If you wanted it to actually render on the page and work, you would want the without the slash. Yeah, I think so. I do believe so. So let's try this one. Slash, so it would be slash images slash 4-bit. Let's see if that renders. Then I'll need to upload a new copy of this. Does it keep the same type if I just, oh, because it says text plain, I think. Okay, no, that doesn't work either. Okay. Absolute, basically just all absolute path does not work. I guess that's because it's making an absolute path of the server, not the file system. Makes sense. Okay. Okay, good. Relative path. Yes, yeah. That path traversal is what that's called. Like dot dot slash basically is already taken care of. Michael, that was one of the first. That was one of the first things that Michael Pocusa did as far as like improvements in the library. So yeah, so right now our static is set to SD slash uploaded files. So if we did dot dot slash again, then theoretically there is a settings.toml, although let's lower the stakes some and do a boot out just in case I'm a little bit more confident than I should be. So like theoretically we shouldn't be able to see boot out if the path traversal restrictions are working properly. So dot dot slash and then boot out dot text will tell us, it tells us file does not exist because it silently cut out the dots. It just won't respect them. Yeah, really good question. I should clarify, it's not something that I tried today, but it is something I know that it's not susceptible to because it is something that I tried for like probably an hour and a half one night. Like I tried a lot of path traversal against it, and it's really good at preventing it. Not that I would say I'm like some expert on finding path traversal, but I tried a lot of things and I got no success. I tricked myself into thinking I found path traversal, I think, at least 2 or 3 times. But I found actual path traversal 0 times. Without just like disabling the check in the code, which you can disable the check in the code as well, which is part of how I tricked myself a few times. Okay, cool. Yeah, files, the upload worked. Multiple different uploads have worked. The overwriting has worked because I changed the HTML inside that file, and we definitely are seeing the newer versions because this updated to change to images and to have the slash and all that stuff. Now, what we could do is if we wanted, like, let's say we want to upload an HTML page which has an image that we also uploaded, which I think is totally fine. So we would say, we can't really do images, but what we can do is, so it'll be just inside uploaded files. So what I'll do is I'll set it for 4-bit, and then we will save that and we'll upload a copy of 4-bit also. And then it will work after that. So we'll go browse the new copy of the HTML. We'll put something here. We'll submit. We will come here and it's still broken, but it will say 4-bit. And then if we upload 4-bit now, we come back to here, we do that, we do browse, we go find 4-bit. And now we can refresh, and that is actually going to render. And if we went directly to it, it would also work like 4-bit BMP like this. It would also work, although the browser does render it differently. Now it's black and in the middle, black background rather, dark mode. I should say too, there never any need to apologize for, even if you bring something up we already talked about. That's fine. I know everybody, like, I know people are sometimes watching it in the background or watching it while they're doing other stuff. That's totally cool. I have no problem answering questions, even if it's stuff we talked about. You know what caught my eye? What is the? I don't think I have ever heard of patch. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. That is crazy. Partial modifications to a resource. How is it semantically different than put? Okay, what does that mean? Oh. Interesting. So with put, if you make the same put request over and over, your object should be in the same state after every time you succeed. But with patch, you could succeed and then your object would be in a different state, even if you sent the same request. Or I should say, not like even if, but specifically in the case when you send the same request again, your object is in a different state, which is basically like maybe anything that updates a timestamp of like last updated, I suppose, is more technically correct for that. Interesting. Yeah, I never heard of that one before. Patch. We can test that, JSON. That was on the other device, which we can switch back to because the file stuff is really the main thing I wanted to do with the SD card. I assume failure on second put. But in your head, put implies creation a bit like post, but post is non-specific. In my head, the way I do it is, well, I should say in my head, the way I understand it, I'm not strict about actually implementing it this way, but in my head, the way I think about it is post for creating new objects, put for updating existing objects. So like if you were going to create a new person in a database, that would be a post. And if you were going to update a person's name, that would be a put. In my understanding, the way I think about it. Yeah. And then where is the one that I sent? This is what we were doing at the very end with our put. And it was time not working, but is updated now, I think. This was calling JSON originally, so I'm going to put that back. I'm going to take this one out. And with the version of the code that's on it right now, it will fail. I don't know why it... Oh, well, one thing is... Well, no, it should be reset. I don't know why it reset. It might not have reset. Can I save the file or something? Let's try it again. Okay, see, we got uploaded object is none. Yeah, which is what we were seeing before. I thought we were getting a different error. Did I also change more of this? Oh, right. I think I also added this. Let me go back to the original. Let me go back to the original example code. What is this one? Is like well, API is the name. What was the name of the file? It's not. Is it methods? It is methods. Okay. Just go back to the original example, or it's not original. It's the new example. Well, I don't know if it's been updated or not, but it's the repo example. Let's call it. Okay. So now, yeah, we have the repo example code, but we have the old library code. So there, that's the fail I was expecting. Okay, so yeah, it thinks we sent no data, and then it also, when no data does get sent, it does this, and then what we want is the new library code after the latest commit. HTTP server. Paste it. Let it wait. Okay, server's running, so let's run this again. And yep, this time we got not only no error, it does not think that we posted none. It did auto reload. I don't know why. Probably my PC wrote a file or something, I'm guessing. But that's interesting. So far, though, each time I've posted, it's reloaded. Okay. I don't know. My guess is my PC wrote a file, I guess, probably like some meta file or something in there, and that caused it to reboot. That's why I have been turning off auto reload on a lot of my devices lately, and then just getting in the habit of Control C, Control D for for rerunning. Okay, yeah, it's looking good. All of the other ones effectively work the same way, so we could try, maybe let's try get request. Fix no data. Turns back this data, which is the one that we sent last time, because that got added to the database, is JSON data in our case, and then the existing one, which was already there. So if we send a delete, with an ID, then we can delete it. So request.delete, and then let's do delete the ID 1, since that one's hard coded anyway. It'll just come back when we rerun. Oops, I think I did whatever came underneath run. It's debug, I guess. I did not mean to do that, but luckily I don't have any breakpoints or anything, so it was the same. I deleted it. That only took 24 milliseconds. Actually, all of these were responded to insanely fast. Well, maybe that's not the response time, but how much CPU time it took creating the response. Michael, if you're still around, does this include the time to like communicate the response as well? Or is it only the time to create the response in the microcontroller? Or is it something different entirely? Okay, I want to do a get after that so we can also make sure that the one is gone now. Yeah. Perfect. I never ran into this one, but we could double check this one while we're here. Or 2. Submitting an empty form or forms with only checkboxes causes a crash. Static index form input type submit. Actually, let me edit the you want to edit the existing one, or do I want to try to make a tester for this? Let's just edit this one, since there's a bunch of stuff already set up for it. Look for debug start time, debug end time, and server poll. For now, it starts after accepting the connection, and it ends after sending the response. Okay. Debug start time, debug end time, inside server poll. Poll have an underscore? No. Wait, why did that not find it? What? This thing on the other day. In time. Send. And I do not know really enough about the protocol to know if that's like after it's been received or not. Probably not, right? Probably can't guarantee it's been received, I would guess. We do want a different IP, I think, right? What I'm going to do is just take the something out. Ooh. And we would expect it would may or may not fail, I guess. This probably returns none, so maybe it would just print none if it was going to work. And I guess will work, because we do have the new version. But what I'll do is I'll also go back to the old version to confirm the old one is crashing and the new one is not. If I'm understanding the problem correctly. So we're good to go there. Oh, yeah. I think that's a thing, right? Reloaded, for one thing. I don't know if that was just like an unlucky reload or if we actually broke it. Reload it again. Turn off auto reload if we get any more of these. Do you think this is just like, it probably was still pasting or still installing or whatever. I wasn't looking back here, but this was probably still doing stuff or something maybe? I don't know. The old version seems to work okay too, but it did have the submit in it, I guess. Does that mean that it could still work, or? They have the checkbox and a submit. Web server seems to crash. Data fields. Maybe it's because we're not checking fields? Is it? Maybe we should use it more like theirs. Oops. Okay. If we go to /form, we're going to get the form with only a checkbox. The form is posting to /update, which is here, which is just accessing form data fields. Five, 1, 3, and then it did reload on me. I think we're gonna pull the trigger on the Okay. If it is because of the auto reloads, then shouldn't happen anymore. Does not, I do notice it doesn't return, right? There's no return response. So for one thing, it would just kind of hang, I guess. But that's a problem with the returning, right? Did you actually get it to crash, Michael? So I'm not sure if I understand what the problem was. was able to reproduce it. Wonder what I'm doing wrong. URL encoded? Is that the default? Maybe I need to include that. I think plain text is the default. Are you using the old version or the PR? I am using the old version, I believe. And uninstall and reinstall it though. Let's delete that. I am using the one I got from Circuit, which should be the currently released one. So right now it'll fail because it has no module, and then circup install http server.py or --py, I mean. Now it can succeed. Oh, there we go. Is it because I was checking the box? So I checked the box. Maybe that... I think I just didn't follow instructions, did I? Yeah, that's on me. Just me not following instructions. It says not to check the box, and I was checking the box. Okay. Delete this. Delete this. Rename this. Now we're back to the PR one. Restart this. I mean, I'm pretty sure there is. I think, like, sometimes I think it's taking longer to finish the file operations or whatever, like. So I messed up the name? Name looks right to me. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, like I just kept restarting it after a while and then eventually it worked. Like I think maybe it's not, it wasn't done saving the name change. That is just a guess though. There we go. Okay. And what was the other one? Data.get returns the string none if it doesn't exist. Method form data.get returns the string none. So if we switch back to the released version, I should stop deleting and start renaming, but that's all right. BRB for 1 second. Okay. Saving to the MCUs can be slow, but also happens to me sometimes. Can also have both PR and circup and only change. Oh yeah, that's smart. I've seen people do it that way before, and I don't know why exactly, but I don't ever think about it in the moment. But yeah, that's a good idea. If I keep both, then it's super easy to just switch in the import line. Okay, so we also want to modify the code of, I guess, the post. It doesn't really matter where, I don't think, but we would say like request.formData.get, and then we would say not real. But it's also none is also going to print none. So let's do some more things like those should give us enough information to know. And I do need to check the box because we want our post to work, and we're back to the old version. Yeah, so we got none printed, but it was a string. We know because we did type, and we know because we did is none, and it was false. And so now if we switch back to real, the smarter not harder way this time. Yeah, which is probably good anyway for just the longevity of the thing, I would assume. And then we could do it either way this time, it doesn't matter, but in order to keep the test the same, I will do it the same. So we got none, which looks the same because that's how none prints, but it's also is none true, and it is type none instead of string. Somehow have 3 of these and can't go back on any of them. It's crazy. Did we test this one last night? I don't remember. That's changing it so this can be either a list or a tuple, I think. Is that right? Yeah, methods. So list always worked. Can you put method in here? Type has no get. Oh, form data is not going to work when it is a get request. So let's go. How do we check the types? I don't recall off the top of my head. Let's look in the API example. Have to import. Okay, so it's the enums. So we want to go back to here. If request.method equals post this stuff. I'm gonna go ahead. This part's less, because we only accept one other type, but we'll be even more specific with it. Okay, there we go. So we got our get, works fine. Form. Our post also works fine, and this does allow it to come through, which is nice. And then on the old version, well, so yeah, we're on the new version right now. I will then be able to, this is the wrong file, I will be able to change it to a tuple. I think did not work on the old version. We test both of these again. So let's do a get request here. And let's go back to form, do a post request. Yeah, you could also use literal strings get and post. Oh, interesting. Okay, for the when it's here. Nice. Let's see, we have those, and so we have our tuple now. Both of our tuple ones work, although I notice I maybe didn't save. I don't know if that was after I made the change, so I'm just going to test them both again. Get request. Post request. Both good, okay. And then now we can do old version, which does not allow tuple, I believe. So this one I think does not work. PyCharm already knows about, okay. I don't know to what extent it doesn't work. It doesn't load this. Get update is not found, so it doesn't find it for that. Does it let you do the post? I'm kind of curious. Probably not. Nope, same thing. 404 not found. So I mean it recovers nicely. It gives you a 404, but it doesn't find it. Okay, so new version does, which is nice. Yeah. We messed with this stuff yesterday. We saw an example of that in the redirect file. We looked at the, even more specifically at our output there. The docs for form data. I don't think I ever looked at the old docs for form data. Oh, this one, oh yeah, docs are going to be failing on all of them. We need to do a patch. It's not going to be listed in here actually, right? But I did build the docs yesterday. Maybe I looked at that yesterday, but I don't remember for sure. Which I think it just didn't have before, right? Oh no, it does, but it doesn't have as much. It's only get list. It has items, keys, and values, as well as the yeah. Typing added. Bird params form data headers. Serve forever accepts a poll interval. In the edge cases when there's no content type in the header. JSON. Did try that already. And that's refactoring. Our form data simplified parsing. Okay. I'm going to take a somewhat briefer look through the code. Typically, I'm more of a test first, then look at the code. But everything seems pretty good to me, truthfully. I like a lot of the new features. Directive, right? So that used to just be get, but it's now get directive because there's also get the other one, parameter maybe, or something else. Wire authentication. I have token now, which is different. And then formatter wanted to split it up also. Tuple. Some slash ins, are those intentional? Yeah, I think so, right? Because headers would be split up by new lines inside the request. Field name instead of name. The default is gone or removed. List, get directive. Keys got moved. So yeah, sometimes the code gets weird like this. Like it's not, this makes it a little bit difficult to see what's going on, but it's like all the new code is get parameter. The old code includes these two functions, which are like kind of try to reuse the couple bits from values. Used to be dict to values. Now it's got to split some things out a little bit. Set. There's our set default. Got it moved down a bit. Header. Prepare it. Looks like preparing it for the response. Or the request, I guess, really. The headers are formatted the same in both. Well, but it's not sending the request. For those weird server send event ones. It's not request necessarily, I don't think, but I don't know. Super contains. Yeah, see, here's another spot where it's like, it's just kind of dangling down here, and it's all the way back from delete, but it has like 4 functions that got deleted in the middle. That's supposed to return? Am I reading that right? Let's go look in the actual code. It's going to be so much easier to see. Okay, no, it's inside it contains. Del just calls del, contains, returns, contains, which makes sense. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah. See, it's not going in there. That one's not red. Okay. Interfaces. Abstract version. Stuff all used to be inside of somewhere else. There it is. Quest. Files is new. Form data. That's slightly modified examples. Oh, because it can do lists. These files can be lists. Can upload multiple files, yeah. That'd be one thing to test. I didn't do multiple files, but I think that's fine. An example of, well, but we did the SD card. Yeah, the file uploading example is kind of hard, isn't it? Because it's like, maybe we could have it just print. Maybe we could have an example of file uploading where it just prints the file instead of saving it. Saving it's tricky because you either need like the SD card like I did, or you need to set the drive to be writable. Both of which are kind of outside the scope of the HTTP server library. Although I wouldn't be opposed to an example that shows it working with either of those two, because I think examples are a good place to show even more advanced configurations. Force multiples, field name. Double ticks. New cookies function, or property. Used to have only headers, but now you can get cookies directly, which is sweet. A different part? Is there anything that still mentions turning safe off? It just got moved weirdly. It's probably in the interface thing now, right? Maybe. Yeah, interfaces. New redirects. Cookies can get passed to init of the response directly, so you don't have to put headers. These are all changing to ticks. Cookies, yum. Get it. There's our start time, end time, debug. Well, if you turn debug false, will it not print those lines? I guess that's probably how that works. I don't think I've ever done that. Typically I like having those though. Might be interesting to have an example that logs to a file. But this also is the same trickiness with uploading files, is like you either need writable or an SD card. Can you do that? I guess right now you can't really, right? Because, well, you could, right? Because debug depends what's inside here, I guess. It does actually only have print. You could maybe integrate it with a logger library object Then it could print and go to a file. Maybe that's a future example to try. New outputs. New authentication with the token. New example for cookies, yum. Updated example for redirects. Yeah. Let's just say as I could. I think there's maybe a few things, like I didn't test a couple of things we ran across, but I feel like I did just about all the high points. We want to go Metro on a combination of Metro, S3, and ESP, and Feather, S3, EFT, both on spelled improvements wrong. One more day to change the last minor stuff. Will do. Yeah, thank you again. I've done a ton more great work inside this thing, so super duper appreciate it. I think I'm gonna wrap up for now. I still have that tab open somewhere. If anybody is interested, I will maybe be back later for something non-CircuitPython directly, trying to load server stack on a Raspberry Pi. I've never used any of these. Done a lot of server hosting, but never Apache, never MySQL, and never PHP. Whoops. But I'm interested in trying to set this up, and I have a Raspberry Pi set up to do it, so I may pop back up either later or tomorrow sometime to work on this. Otherwise, I will be back next week at the same time, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Central. Like I said last night, as far as I know, I believe Scott's back on Deep Dive on Friday. And I would just say thanks for watching. I hope everybody has a good weekend and a good long holiday weekend for any folks who have an extra day off. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. I will see you around.